Now, Honorable Senators, the CS has given a very comprehensive response, though beyond the file response that he did. And therefore, I will allow the senator who asked that question, if he has any supplementary question, to ask. And thereafter, I will allow another senator to ask supplementary question. Now, Senator Lelegwe, you, under standing orders, you have 2 supplementary questions. You may choose to ask them at once, or you may choose to ask one now, allow your colleagues to answer the supplementary questions, then you be the last to ask the very last supplementary question. Kindly proceed, Senator Lelegwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I confirm that I have received both the electronic and hard copy of the response by the CS. Of course, late, that is today morning. But I appreciate his response, and I'm sure the promises he has made to the Senate to tackle insecurity in security-prone areas, including Samburu, will bear fruit. Mr. Speaker, I choose to ask 2 supplementary questions now, and I proceed with one. Since you made the pronouncement to order the multi-agency operation in the banditry-prone areas, many cases of banditry have occurred in the presence of the multi-agency team, the security forces, without any action taken. And I'm sure the CS has this information, has this intelligence, that cases of banditry, killing of people, loss of livestock, stealing by those bandits, have taken place. And in light of all that, in the presence of the military, in the presence of the multi-agency team, little or no recovery has been reported. Despite the success, and I agree, there is some levels of success since the deployment of these agencies. But the stolen livestock or the arrest of the perpetrators have not taken place. In light of this, CS, what is the government's policy on recovery of stolen property, that is livestock, and compensation if the government is unable to take action? We have seen families having been impoverished.
Honorable Senator, of course, today is the very first time you're doing this, and I'll be giving a lot of latitude to both the CS and the members. Okay. But kindly, the supplementary question you ought to ask must be very direct. Okay. It is not an opportunity to make a speech, and then after the speech, you pose a question. Direct questions to the CS.
Okay.
The subject matter.
Thank you, Speaker. I proceed. One, since you made the pronouncement and ordered a multi-agency operation in banditry-prone areas, many cases of banditry have occurred in the presence of the security forces without any action taken or recovery of stolen livestock or arrest of the perpetrators. In light of this, what is the government's policy on recovery of stolen property, livestock, and compensation, if any, if the government is unable to take action? Two, what measures do you plan to implement in order to guarantee the safety and security of administrators, in this case the chiefs, operating in areas prone to banditry? Is the CS considering providing them with training and arms to enhance their security? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, kindly proceed to respond to the two supplementary questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm sorry for veering off the standing orders. I was still in the past in my previous role as a senator. I am guided. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to the supplementary question raised by the distinguished senator for Samburu County, I will reply as follows. That it is true that we have had incidents of banditry even after the deployment of the joint National Police Service and Kenya Defence Forces operation. I've explained why those attacks continue because of a bit of a mix-up where we could have bandits spread out in villages, and although our officers are on ground, they cannot be deployed to every home. So we are looking for strategies to work around that and make sure that we mop out and finish that problem now that we know where the problem is. Mr. Speaker, we have made tremendous improvement in terms of recoveries of stolen livestock. Before the operation, we had very many livestock stolen which were not being recovered. And we are compiling actually data backwards from August and even the entire of 2022, just to show what this administration has done as compared to previously in terms of recoveries and those kind of action. I am able to report the data we have at the moment is showing marked improvement by this administration in terms of recoveries. We've had recoveries in Laikipia, recoveries in Baringo, recoveries in even in Samburu. And out of the 500 livestock stolen since January, we have recovered 200. 300 are still at large. And the reason is because these criminals, once they steal, they separate the livestock in small groups and disappear. They allocate each other 10, 5, 20, 15. So when you recover, you will hear that 200 goats have been stolen, but it will be shared with 10 each, 20 people, and they go different directions. So when you recover in bits and pieces, and that's part of the reason why we've not had 100% recovery. But again, we are working on how to improve our recovery progress. Finally, the senator has asked about what we are doing to make sure that our officers are trained, the national administration officers are trained and equipped. Right now, pending before the National Security Council is a proposal for a limited issuance of firearms to all chiefs, assistant chiefs, and ACCs in specific areas which are facing harsh insecurities, so that they can support the National Police Service in tracking livestock and also protecting themselves from armed criminals, because they are normally the targets. And we have lost a few already. We've lost a chief in Samburu, we've lost one in Laikipia. So we are considering a policy shift to provide firearms and also to give them training so that they can help us better serve the people of Kenya. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable William Cheptumo. And senators, kindly abide by our standing order 51B 3.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And, the honorable senator asks his supplementary question. For those who have queued here, kindly, as you ask your supplementary question, abide by that particular standing order, 51B 3, so that we move. And senator, precise, concise, very brief.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me a chance to ask some supplementary question. But Mr. CS, around 2016, 2017, your ministry gazetted a number of administrative units in various counties in our country. These created new locations, sub-locations, divisions and some sub-counties. Up to today, those gazetted units have not been activated or able to operate. This is helping to assist your ministry on matters security, especially in the security areas. When will you do this, Bwana Waziri, Mr. CS? When will you operationalize the units gazetted by your ministry in 2016, 2017 in various counties? And my county in Baringo, there are several of them, areas you were able to visit last time.
Honorable CS, 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, sir, all the gazetted administrative units will be operationalized, but due to budgetary constraints, we have decided to operationalize all the already gazetted areas in phases, in 3 phases, starting this financial year. We will have an objective criteria of identifying which of them goes the first phase, second phase, third phase. That objective criteria includes security challenges faced in that area, like banditry, terrorism, and other complex security issues, illicit drugs and alcohol, and then also regional balance, so that some in one region, another in another region. So we'll have a criteria of making sure that we do, starting this June, and that criteria will be made public so that we carry the entire country together. Asante. Thank you.
Senator Kamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the Minister for the CS for a well-detailed response, which has opened other things for all of us. We know him for a thorough person. Mr. Speaker, from those of us who watch from far, I want to ask the Minister whether there is a policy of handling people who have been displaced by government for reasons including what happened this time when people were moved from their places, because what we were seeing in the media, people who were really in a very bad situation. Is there a policy where food must be provided